So today, we're going to be taking a look at the Starlight exchange rotation for Honkai Star Rail. This is something that is very similar to Genshin, wherein we are able to buy the 4-star characters from the base roster using the currencies that we get from pulling on the banner, specifically the Undying Starlights. This is very important because it changes the way you look at the banners moving forward, because previously, we don't really have an idea on which characters we are getting from the shop, but now that we have the full schedule of which characters we are getting, you can just save your Undying Starlights for the character that you want, instead of going for them in their banners. Like in my situation, I still don't have Tingyun, but since I know that Tingyun is going to be available in the shop the month after, I don't necessarily need to pull on Jingyuan's banner just to get her. So which characters are we actually getting for the rotation? So as many of you might know, during the first month of the game, we actually got Asta and Arlan. Asta is a decent option if you want to get her E1 because her E1 lets her deal damage one extra time to a random enemy. So that is especially good if you're against one boss because it means that you will be breaking their weakness more efficiently. As for Asta's other Eidolons, it's not really that big of a deal because the only really good ones are her E4 and her E6, which is further down the line. And when it comes to Arlan, I don't really recommend getting Eidolons for this character simply because he's not really one of the best options that you have, even as a free-to-play. You are most likely better off using Serval in most cases. And for the next rotation, we have Serval and Dan Heng. They are actually the most active right now as of recording this video. These two characters are really good, and they are probably one of your best options as a free-to-play, but for me, I don't necessarily feel like you need to get Eidolons for them. But if you really like Dan Heng, it's not a bad idea to get his E1 because this will give him more crit rate if the enemy's HP is greater than or equal to 50%. So it's really nice, especially against bosses. As for Serval, she is also getting a good amount of damage from her E1. So her E1 makes it so that her basic attack also deals damage to the enemies beside her main target. So it's also really good, but it just depends if you're using Serval a lot or not. And for the next rotation, which should be up on the shop by the time I upload this video, we have Natasha and Sampo. These two characters are also really good, just like the previous ones, but I would say that I highly recommend going for Sampo if you don't have him already. He is actually one of the best Erudition characters, and especially if you are someone who is going for Kafka in the future, Sampo will be one of your main characters in your team. If you did not know, Kafka will basically be the queen of all Erudition units because her kit basically revolves around damage over time. But if you already have Sampo and you're thinking about getting Natasha's Eidolon, this can be good because it recovers her HP when she hits a low percent, but I don't really feel like you need this. So I would say that you're better off saving your currencies for a character that you don't have. And for the next rotation for July, we're actually getting March 7 and Tingyun. So just like what I said earlier, if you still don't have Tingyun, but you want her in your team, you don't necessarily need to feel forced pulling on Jingyuan's banner, especially if you don't want to get Jingyuan. All you have to do is wait for the rotation to happen because she will eventually be in the shop, so that's really nice. But if you already have Tingyun, she also has other Eidolons that are really good. For her E1, this can be good for some characters, especially hunt characters like Scylla, because this will increase their speed by 20%. So if you have a character that has that relic set that increases the attack for that character, whenever they reach a certain amount of speed, this can be really good. And of course, additional levels on your ultimate is also really nice, but her E4 is the best one in my opinion. This increases the damage multiplier by Benediction by 20%. So if you're close to this, let's say that you already have E3, it's not a bad idea to get this copy for Tingyun. But when it comes to March 7, her Eidolons are really not that good because the early ones from E1 to E3 don't really affect her kit that much. The only ones that will really affect her kit significantly is E5 and E6. But even then, E6 is not really that good because the healing is minimal. So if I were to choose, I would recommend going for Tingyun instead. And for the next month, we are getting Pela and Hook. For free-to-plays, this is a no-brainer. If you don't have Pela, definitely go for her because we already have so many flame characters that are free-to-play. We have Fire MC and we have Asta. And another reason why Pela is a good pickup, because we are actually getting a free light cone in the future in 1.1 that fits really well with their kit. So if you don't have her and maybe you're looking for a really good support, Pela is definitely a good option, especially considering that we're getting a free light cone. And for the next one after that, we're getting Qingque and Sushang. So obviously, Qingque, one of the weaker characters in the game, especially early on, but some might argue that she can be good, but the RNG is pretty off-putting, so I would definitely recommend Sushang over her, simply because Sushang is really good against Gepard. And Gepard is one of the bosses that a lot of people will struggle with, because you need the physical character to break his shield, and the only options that you have are Natasha, Physical MC, Clara, and Sushang. But by far Sushang is the best one, and if I'm being honest, no one is using the Physical MC, so Sushang is a very good pickup. So overall, That is the schedule for the Starlight exchange rotation in Honkai Star Rail. It's good to know that we're getting these characters in the shop, because now you don't feel like you are forced to pull on the banners just to get a 4-star character that you don't have yet. All of the monthly rotations are really good, because all of them has at least one character that you will find useful in your teams. So at the end of the day, it just depends on your roster and which character that you're using, and which character you want to improve moving forward. I will be leaving a link in the description for the sources for this material, and as always, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.